Good evening and welcome. My name is Brooks Barheit. I'm the Assistant Director of the Winston Center for Leadership and Ethics. It's my privilege this evening to welcome you to the Brennan Symposium. Before we introduce our keynote speakers, I want to take a moment to touch upon the origins of this great program. The Brennan Symposium in Student Leadership and Ethics was established in 2007 and is the major initiative of the Francis P. Brennan 39 Endowed Fund in Leadership and Ethics at Boston College. Named in honor of Frank Brennan of the Boston College class of 1939, the symposium provides BC's student leaders with new leadership skills and fosters dialogue among student leaders from different domains. The students who have participated in today's symposium and workshop, which was held earlier in the day, are leaders from a variety of BC's student clubs and organizations. Frank Brennan's memory at BC lives on through this wonderful tribute and through the hundreds of students who have been enriched by their participation in the Brennan Symposium. This evening, we are pleased to have members of the Brennan family with us. Mr. Brennan's children, Mr. Thomas Brennan and Mrs. Marianne Newcomb, who is a parent of two Boston College alumni, and Mr. Brennan's grandson, Patrick Newcomb of the BC class of 2007 are here. Also joining them is Mr. Jack Joyce of the class of 1961, who was instrumental in establishing the Francis P. Brennan Class of 39 Fund for Leadership and Ethics. Please join me in welcoming these distinguished guests here tonight. I would like to now turn it over to Dean Andy Boynton of the Carroll School of Management and moderator for the evening to introduce Matt and Sarah Ryan.
Okay, thanks everybody for coming. Let's learn something tonight and have fun while we're doing it. Sarah Ryan is a 2007 graduate of Boston College majoring in communications. She's a native of Falmouth, Maine, where she was a legendary three-sport star and one of the best basketball players ever from Maine. Sarah captained BC's women's basketball team for 2 years and finished her career as BC's second all-time leader in assists. Sarah was a three-time conference academic all-star and played on two teams that made the Sweet 16. She has a self-professed passion for sports and bringing attention to the women who play them, and has been able to put her passion and talent to good use as a sponsorship sales consultant to the WNBA's Atlanta Dream. Sarah is also a person for others in the Atlanta community, where she is an active volunteer with the Boys and Girls Club and other charitable organizations. In life before Matt, Sarah was Sarah Marshall, not from Forgetting Sarah Marshall fame. And she was an avid New England Patriots fan and cheered for, what's his name, that quarterback for the Patriots?
Brady.
Okay.
That's awkward.
Next, Matt Ryan is originally from the Philadelphia area and graduated from BC in 2007, also majoring in communications. You were in Carroll School for a while, but dropped out. You may not.
I didn't know
if I'd say that, but well,
yeah,
we're going to go a lot of strange places. You may not know this, but Matt played some football at Boston College. He finished his BC career with a 25-7 record and 32 career starts. Matt was named the ACC Player of the Year in 2007, is BC's all-time leader in pass completions, and won a host of major college awards. His ability didn't go unnoticed. Matt was the third overall player selected in the 2008 draft by the Atlanta Falcons. How's he performed? In his first 5 years in the NFL, Matt led the Falcons to more regular season wins than any quarterback in NFL history, including what's his name? Maddie Ice, indeed. In those first 5 years, Matt had more comeback victories and fourth quarter game-winning drives of any quarterback again in NFL history. After being touted as a potential Super Bowl contender last season, the Falcons disappointed their fans.
Wow.
Fair.
In part due to the brutal pounding that Matt took. I'm glad to see him here in one piece tonight. In one game against the Carolina Panthers, they sacked Matt 9 times. I'm not sure if BC's Luke Kuechly had a sack, but there were plenty to go around. Welcome, Matt and Sarah. Okay, for both of you, we'll start off with Sarah.
Oh man, okay.
Can you both think of a team that you were on that had great chemistry, great teamwork? What was the team, and what important lessons did you learn?
I was fortunate enough my freshman year, came in on a great team, great group of veteran leadership. That year we won the Big East tournament, which was huge. I didn't play much that year, but I got to learn behind Amber Jacobs, who was our senior point guard and shooting guard. Mo Leahy was the other senior captain of that team. I think it started with the leadership of our team, starting with the coaching staff, and like I said, the upperclassmen on our team, setting the tone for us younger girls who didn't really know what we were doing when we were coming in, freshmen and sophomores, still kind of trying to learn the ropes. And they taught you a lot, but also made you feel included and part of the process and part of the wins. And you felt like even if you weren't playing a lot in games, you were helping the team win through what you were doing in practice. So I think there was great team chemistry, both on and off the court, which really helped. And again, that veteran leadership and talent that we had kind of led the way that year.
Okay, thank you. Matt?
I feel like I've been fortunate enough to be on two teams, one in college and one in the NFL that I felt like had really good team chemistry and something different than the rest of the teams that I played on. The first team would be 2007, my senior year here at BC. We had, I think in 2003, the recruiting class that I came in, we had 25 some guys, something like that. And playing my last year, excluding 2 or 3, I think we had 22 of those guys still on the team. And it was just amazing that we had put all of this time together. You know, it was at the beginning of when the football team needed to be here in both summer sessions. So you were literally here, you know, 11 and a half months out of the year, spending time with these guys all morning, working out together right downstairs and over in Conti, and being out on Shea Field running during the summer. So we just had so much time spent together, but we also had a great mix of Chiefs and Indians. And you know, we had certain guys that, you know, knew how to be a leader, knew how to wear that hat, but we also had the other guys who knew they had to be the grunt work, and they had to go out there and they had to be the guys running around and getting things done. So we had a great mix of leaders and role players. And we were all great friends. And I think that's something that even in the NFL, I don't think has ever been replicated. At least I haven't seen. You don't have the types of friendships in the NFL that you have in college. You live with these guys. You know, you've been in Rubenstein and Edmonds and Walsh. When you've lived with somebody in Walsh, you are close with them. And so, you know, that was a team with unbelievable chemistry, and it showed on the field. And then another team that I played for was in 2012 with the Atlanta Falcons. We made it to the NFC Championship, but we had a locker room of guys that were unbelievable. Superstars like Tony Gonzalez and Julio Jones and Roddy White that were the most unselfish people you could ever be around. We're team first guys that put it all on the line, that showed up to work every day and were ready to go, but were willing to give them of themselves for the better of the team. And you know, those are two teams, and I don't think it's any mystery that the teams that had the best chemistry also had the best records. And I think that's true in whatever you're doing. When there's great chemistry within an organization, there's going to be great results.
Okay, thank you. Sarah, how did Boston College, and I'll follow up with you, Matt, with this, how did Boston College help prepare you for the life you lead today?
I think I just learned so much about hard work, time commitment, working with other people. Those kind of core values have stuck with me through my time at BC and now in my life post-grad. I also think the people you meet here at BC and the network you develop through other alumni that you meet along the way has opened a ton of doors for me. I think you realize how big the BC community is, not just in this New England area. There are a lot of people in Atlanta and across the country that support and are big fans of what BC is doing here. And I'm proud to be able to go and meet people and say I'm a BC graduate, that I played women's basketball here, and people are impressed by that. And it's, again, I'm really proud to be able to say that.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think, you know, you mentioned that I was only in CSUN for a little while. I switched over to A&S.
It wasn't a bad career choice, by the way.
No, exactly. I switched over to A&S and still wish, you know, I would have taken a lot of the business courses in CSUN. That's one of the things that I wish I would have been able to do some more of while I was in college, but switched over and became a communications major. And it just so happens that with the career that I'm in, there could not have been a better major to prepare you for all of the things that playing quarterback in the NFL and all of the things that it asks you to do off the field. My degree here prepared me for it, and I feel like the relationships that I had with people in the sports information department, guys like Chris Cameron, who's still here, and Dick Kelly, who recently passed away, but was such an integral part of my time and probably have had as much impact on my career as any of the coaches that I played for, because there's so much asked of you in that light that, you know, I felt very well prepared when I came out. But I also agree with Sarah in that the network that BC provides you is huge. And I don't think you realize it while you're here because you're isolated on campus and it's an unbelievable experience. But when you get away from here to wherever life takes you, whether it be Atlanta, I have roommates in Kansas City, I have roommates in Sacramento, roommates in New York City. It's everywhere. And I think that's one of the unique things about going to a place like Boston College is wherever you go, people are impressed by the school that you came from. And I think it says a lot about you if you've graduated from Boston College, and it's pretty cool to be a part of that network.
As an alum, I would agree. What are your fondest, each of you, what are your fondest memories of BC?
Clearly my best memory is meeting Sarah.
All right. Beyond that, what's your second best memory? What are your fondest memories?
I don't know if I can go there. No.
Was that in Walsh?
Walsh, yeah. No, you know what? There's so many good memories, both together and individually, that we have. And even just driving in from the airport today, from Logan to here, just passing so many places that, you know, we had spent time at. It's great. I think personally, clearly the best thing that happened to me during my time here at BC was meeting Sarah. We met in Conti Forum and then in study hall. And so she didn't know it. Yeah, she didn't know it at the time, but I had the eyes for her. But then athletically, you know, I think probably my favorite memory, winning against Virginia Tech was awesome. We won on a Thursday night there, but coming back and getting back at 4 o'clock or 4:30 in the morning and having like 3,000 or 4,000 kids right outside waiting for the buses, that was an unbelievable experience. And then another one was celebrating in a locker room after we played Clemson my senior year to go to the ACC championship game. It was just a great time to be with my teammates.
Yeah, well, Matt's right. I don't remember study hall meeting him. I do remember.
She was studying.
True. Very true. Favorite Marathon Mondays are always like the best memories. That's one of our fondest memories to look back on. As far as being on the women's basketball team, you obviously have big wins that are great, and Big East tournament, great, beating UConn, great. Some of my fondest memories are like stupid times in the locker room with the girls, or I roomed with a lot of my teammates, times when it's just us on campus, Christmas break, and like that kind of stinks, but you're with everyone and try and make it fun in your own way, I guess. But those behind the scenes moments are the ones that I kind of remember and cherish the most, and that I still laugh about with my teammates. So I like those memories.
Okay. Sarah, what's the most challenging thing about being the wife of an NFL superstar?
Oh man, Matt makes it really, really easy. I think people have kind of a preconceived notion of what life must be like for me or for us, and I always tell, we're really pretty boring. There's no real exciting stories to tell. I respect Matt. He does all the heavy lifting. You know, when he he obviously has a very difficult job on Sundays, but he's never off. You know, when he's out in Atlanta, people know who he is, and I respect him a lot for how he handles all that, because that's a big job, and I just try not to get in his way.
All right, but I want to follow up because I read about you and the game day stress and
Yeah.
don't be around you on game day. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stress for you watching every play, living and dying with every pass, every hit.
Yeah.
How do you, I'm just curious, what's that like?
Well, knowing Matt for a while now, and you know, game week, seeing all that goes into it, you're so invested in it right along with him. So Sundays are definitely a tense day. I think even like drawing back to my own times playing basketball, I know my parents were like a wreck in the stands, but when you're out there, you're okay and not as nervous. So I know he's fine, but it's hard to watch your husband take hits, and you know he's going to be bummed if they lose, so you want to win. And fortunately, that didn't happen this year that much. But a lot of long Sundays.
Three times, I think.
Yeah.
Not enough.
Matt, what's your best moment and your worst moment as an NFL quarterback? And how do you deal with the highs and the lows?
Sarah helps me deal with the highs and the lows. There's no doubt about it. I think, you know, it's a profession that it is kind of a roller coaster. And it's so popular in America right now. And the media coverage and just, like if you turn on ESPN in March, like we were talking about beforehand, there's draft talk, there's free agency talk. It just never stops. And we're lucky to be a part of a game that's that popular, but it adds a lot of roller coaster to it because you're either the best or you're the worst. There's really no in between. And from that perspective, I think you have to kind of separate yourself from it a little bit. And we're not big on watching ESPN or, you know, Nesson up here or anything, just because good or bad, I don't want to hear it. And that sounds, I don't know what it sounds like, but I just find it better for me to operate that way. I'd rather not know who's saying what, even when it's really good or even when it's really bad. Just for me, it's about staying focused on the task at hand. And then, you know, with that said, I think my high would be being in the playoffs last year and we beat Seattle. And then my low is the following week when you're in the NFC Championship game. We had a 17-point lead, and we blew it in the second half. And you know, realizing that you had an opportunity to play in the Super Bowl, and now having played 6 seasons in the NFL, knowing how difficult it is to get there and how your chances and your opportunities are limited, that was probably the low point and tough to bounce back from. But you know, having a great wife, having somebody to be able to go home to, and you know, having something that's more important than your profession, I think is huge. And you know, Sarah, she does a great job with it, and she's too modest when she was explaining, you know, her role and how she deals with it. She's unbelievable at it, and makes me certainly better at what I do professionally, but personally, I think a lot better as well.
Okay. I remember the San Francisco game.
Yeah, not good. Not good.
So, who's been the hero in your lives, and why? Either one can start.
Go, do you want to take this one?
You're going to take it next.
Yeah, I got time to think.
Yeah, right.
I'll say my mom. And it's funny because I think she's opposite from me in a lot of ways. That's probably why I look up to her so much. But a few faces in this crowd know my mom. I was talking about her earlier with Chris. Just like the nicest woman I've ever met. So genuine, so sincere, would do anything for anyone. If I one day am a mom, I just hope I can resemble what she's been for me. And that's very cliche to say your mom, but first one that popped in my head, so.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Sarah. I think it's my parents for me, just that the example that they set, the way that they raised myself and my siblings, instilling work ethic and discipline and all of those things, and kind of showing you the ropes. I think for me, they were kind of my heroes growing up, and I don't think it sounds cliche. I think that's a good person to have as your role model.
Here's a question. If you were to ask God one question, what would it be?
Oh my gosh.
What year are we going to win the Super Bowl?
I like
I hope there's an answer.
Hopefully he saes multiple years. That's what I want to hear from him. Yeah.
it. What would my question be?
Oh, man, I can't answer that for you.
I don't know if I have one. Oh, I really do have to answer.
You actually really have to. No, if you can pass. If
I'll
you want to pass.
Yeah, I'll
Pass.
pass.
You wanna
I can't
pass?
think of one,
Do
yeah.
I get 2 questions then?
So yours is about winning the Super Bowl. What's
No,
the?
that's.
What would you ask? That's not a bad question.
No, it's. Oh man, I'll pass. Also.
Okay.
We'll go to the next one.
Matt, being a quarterback in the NFL, it's probably one of the most demanding jobs in sports. How do you prepare yourself year-round, and what's your attitude and approach towards preparation and practice?
I think it's huge. You know, I think preparation is the key to it all. The more I think about it, you know, I think it's all about feeling confident on Sunday and, you know, feeling good about yourself, your teammates, your game plan, what you're trying to do. I think that's the key to it, is feeling really good about where you're at on Sunday. And I think the only way you do that is to prepare yourself the 6 days prior to that and to be diligent about it. And I think one of the things that I've learned, you know, as I've been around the game longer is, you know, you have to train, you have to be in the weight room, you have to do all that stuff, and fitness is huge. And your technique and skill and, you know, being out there on the practice field is huge. Knowing your game plan and having all that stuff down pat is critical. But I think the most important thing is training your mind. And it's something that I've tried to get into more as I've been around longer, and teaching yourself to be more mentally tough, teaching yourself to be more focused when you need to be focused, to be able to lock in at certain times and eliminate distractions. And so when you get back to how do you train all year long, I think it's you take all 4 of those pieces, and I feel like each is a quarter of myself as an athlete, and you try and feed all 4 of those pieces, and you try and do it evenly. And you know, that's something that you have to be diligent about, and it's hard work, but you know, I enjoy doing it, and I think it's, you know, when you go out there and you perform really well on Sunday, it makes all of that hard work and the demands that you have to put into it during the off season, it makes all of it worth it.
I think for almost any profession, getting rid of the distractions and focus are key, because there's so much noise. How do you teach yourself to do that? What have you done? I mean, if you can consciously articulate, how do you do it? Or do you have people you watch who you think do it well, or do you talk? How do you learn how to do that?
I think it's all of those things. I think it's, you have to be able to talk to people. You have to be able to get things off of your chest and unload. And that's something that, I mean, there's probably a lot of Irish Catholic people here at Boston College. Something I'm not very good at. You know, I keep things bottled up and keep them inside. And it's one of the things I'd like to be better at, but one of the things I'm working on. But I've also, you watch other people and you see how they operate. I've been fortunate to be around arguably the greatest tight end to have ever played the game, in Tony Gonzalez. And I spent 5 years with his locker from me to you, and saw the way that he prepared, saw the way that he took care of himself both mentally and physically, and tried to soak up every bit of that. So watching other people's that you respect, I think that's huge. Reading a lot, you know, I think that's finding books, asking about, you know, about things that Tony had read. One of the best things that ever happened to me was him coming to the Falcons and him recommending, read this.
What was
and
it?
I'd say, no, multiple books. Read this. And you say, well, this has nothing to do with, no, this will help you in another area of your life, whether it be your marriage or your relationships with other people. And you just start figuring out that you know what, there's more to it than just knowing the game plan and being able to eliminate distractions when you're on the field. Eliminating distractions on Tuesday is just as important as eliminating distraction on Sunday. You know, being able to focus in when you practice, I think is huge. And then also being able to find times to get away from it. Because I feel like when you can have quality time away from football or training or all that kind of stuff and do things that you enjoy doing, it helps you be better locked in when it is time to go to work. And so just small stuff like that, but really trying to focus in on those kind of things and be better at it, I think has helped me a lot.
Sir, what do you guys do when you just get away from everything? And
We are like treats to ourselves during the game week. We always make sure we have a date night during the week, just going out to dinner. And in the past, usually we would do it where we go out to dinner, and if that Sunday they win, we go back to that same place. And until the streak is broken, we're wearing out that restaurant pretty good. So
we ate at a lot of different restaurants.
I was going to say, you tried every one in Atlanta.
We've sampled a few. But so little things like that, dinners out, movies, nothing crazy, but something to kind of get out and do something different, get your mind off it a little bit.
All right. Let's open it up for the students. Questions, and how are we going to handle this? Brooks, do we have a microphone? Should I repeat them? Okay. No Saints fans.
Thank you.
Go to this young woman in the fourth row. Oh, Drew Brees is off target. We'll get to you.
As you're captain of the basketball team.
What's your name and what year are you in?
I'm
Just
Caroline
introduce yourself.
Grinrad. I'm a freshman in CSOM. So as leaders, you're talking about how important it was to have good chemistry with your team. How do you feel like you foster that within your teams?
Kind of going back to what I said, that were some of my fondest moments here at BC. Like the small little times, or when you're on a team, the majority of the time is like in the training room, in the locker room, back at the dorms. I think a lot of the chemistry is developed off the court and then shown on the court. I think you can tell when teams gel with each other off the court in the way they play. So the two kind of go hand in hand, I think.
Yeah, I think it's about caring. You know, it's about showing that you care for them personally, and being a good friend, and, finding out about their life and what's going on in their life and getting to know them personally, I think is huge, because that develops trust amongst teammates. And then, I also think that you have to show that you care about what you're doing. So you care about the person and you care about football or basketball or whatever. And I think when you do those kind of things, chemistry builds within a locker room.
Thank you.
Well, you just roll it around. I don't have to. Just introduce yourselves and what school, just so we.
My name's Faye Hubrickson. I'm in the College of Arts and Sciences. My question is, what's the best kept secret at BC?
And go to this guy.
Best kept secret at BC? Oh my gosh. Why don't you tell us? Oh, you're young.
You mean their best kept secret?
Or any, things that are special about BC that are kind of...
Okay.
Off the beaten path? There's so
yeah.
many things. Oh my gosh, there's so many things. You want to start?
I don't know if any of it's a secret. As all of you do here, you came to BC for a reason. I think Matt and I love everything about this place. And as a freshman, I'd tell you just to soak it all in. It's, again, cliche, the 4 years goes by in a blink, but it truly does. And, every year is a roller coaster. You're going to have highs and lows in your college career. But pulling back in here today, I would have gone back in a blink, even to all the lows. I mean, it's just the best time, and enjoy it. And hopefully you'll have a better secret to tell at the end of it. But
Do you live on Upper or Newton?
Upper.
Yeah, I would say upper is probably the best kept secret. In all honesty, though, when we talk about, you know, some of our favorite times, just being up there and it's kind of your own little community, and it's a long walk, man. It's a hike going down to classes and going down when we used to have to come down to Conti, coming down here to work out. But when you're up there, it's like your own little world, and you miss that, I think, when you move to other spots on campus. I think if you lived on upper campus, there's that sense of community up there, and sometimes when you're down on lower, you don't really get that.
I'm Jam. I'm a freshman. I want to know, do you keep in touch with like other alumni like Luke Kuechly?
Yeah, I heard you were a Panthers fan, right? I heard you
He's from
screaming when they said
He's
that.
from
Yeah.
Carolina, yeah.
So I don't know Luke as well as I know some of the other guys. Luke was a little bit after my time. Unfortunately, I've got to know him better.
Yeah, up close.
Yeah, we've got to play him twice a year. Great guy, a really great guy, and such a great representation of what Boston College is all about. So I've gotten to know him a little better. But I mean, for me, you know, I lived with 4 other guys from my sophomore year until I left here. And those 4 guys are, you know, we have the email chain going, and it must have 1,000 emails on there now because it's just one guy chiming in after another. And it feels like every other day somebody's pumping into the conversation about God knows what. I mean, we talk about a lot of different things. But so I keep in touch with a lot of those guys. I'm fortunate and lucky to be in the profession that I am, because I was at Boston College at a time where we had a lot of success on the football field, and because of that, we have a lot of guys who are still playing in the NFL. And so I feel like every time we're preparing during the week and they put up the scouting report of who we're going against, you're like, man, I didn't even realize Chris Nee's playing for him still, or you know, guys that you haven't seen in a while that you get to reconnect with and catch up with before a game, after a game. And you know, sometimes you even see it and you just send a text message during the week. Hey, man, I just saw you in the scouting report. Hope you're doing well. You're having a great season. So, you know, I've been lucky enough in that. And then I know Sarah, you know, has tons of friends that you still keep in touch with from BC.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Mary. I'm a senior communications major. If you could come back to BC for a day or a night, what would you do?
Oh, I'd come back for a night. Are we supposed to tell you
Any other questions?
supposed to tell you what we would do,
Wait,
or?
No.
No, I'd definitely, if we came back for a night, I would love to go back to the days prior to Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and those kind of things. But, you know, just to be able to go to like a Rogies happy hour or something like that on a Friday afternoon, and then like dinner at lower, then a quick nap to try and get yourself back.
I'm waiting for you to say BAPS Library for a few hours.
Yeah, but then to get back to like Marianne's or so. I haven't been to Marianne since we left, and I don't think I'll be going in anytime soon. I promise you that. Just to go back to some of those places, that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. He's dying for it.
Andrew, senior, arts and sciences. So I know a lot of jokes were thrown your way about how the season didn't go as planned. My question is, despite that, what motivates you to play minus the money a lot? Money?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. And
The question was, what motivates, despite the money, beyond the money, a little money involved, but motivation other than money?
Yeah, I think
question.
it's it's a weird thing as a professional athlete, because you know, your whole life you play sports and you don't get paid for what you do, you know, and my motivation has always been to be the best and to play my best. And regardless of whether or not you're being compensated or not for that, for me, that has never changed. And there are certain things that you have to deal with now as a professional athlete that are different from what you did when you were playing in college or high school. But the motivation is still the same. And I try and tell people this all the time too, like on Sundays from 1 to 4, when you're in the midst of that game, nobody's thinking about how much he was getting paid to play that week or how much he was getting paid to play that week. It's just about playing. And for me, that's the best time of the week because you forget all of the other stuff and you go out there and you're doing something that I've done since second grade. And I'm so lucky to be able to do that. And the competitive nature in me is still there. So the motivation to play is the same as it's been since I was 9 years old or 8 years old, and it's to be the best. And I try and do that every week. No, I mean, you know what? Don't get me wrong. It's nice. It is. It's great, and we're so fortunate to be where we're at. But when you're out there playing, it's about playing.
Hi, I'm Gaurav. I'm a sophomore. My question to both of you guys is, do you guys miss late night? And if you do, what did you guys get at late night, preferably?
You go first.
Definitely miss late night. And I'd probably go for the classic, chicken fingers and fries. That'd be my go-to.
That is solid. My question is, does Cheech still work right outside when you're coming back and you get a sausage dog late at night? I had plenty of those. So I would go for that. I would skip late night and go for the sausage dog.
Paul Driscoll, I'm a sophomore here.
Speak up.
I'm a sophomore here. I'm a finance major and a Saints fan, as you can see.
It's all good.
I was wondering, what's some of the hardest lessons you've learned as an NFL player?
That is a good question. Playing in the NFL is probably the most humbling thing week to week that I've ever done. And specifically this season, the fact that the year prior to, we won 13 games during the regular season. We were the #1 seed in the NFC, made it to the NFC Championship, riding on what seemed like a 6-month high, where you're just playing great, you keep it going. And then following that up with a year that we only went 4 games and it being difficult week to week. I think the biggest thing that you learn is that you have to stay even-keeled. You can't ride those highs and think that it's all going to be like that all the time. And then also when things are low, you have to trust in the fact that you're talented, you're surrounded by talented people, and if you continue to work the way that we work, things will come back. And I think that's a good life lesson too. During my time here, I had an offensive coordinator, Steve Logan, my last year, and he used to talk about the ebbs and flows of football games, saying that when it's going good, get all you can get. And when things aren't going your way, hold on. And I think that's really true in life. When things are good, go ahead, get all of you can get out of it. And when things are not good, hold on. And trust in whatever it is, whether it be your faith or your teammates in an NFL situation. Trust in those guys, and trust in the ebbs and flows of life, that it will come back. And it's been a hard lesson to learn because for a lot of your life, a lot of guys in the NFL have never really had hard times because you've always been one of the best players in whatever you were doing. But it's a reality check. When you get into it, you learn quickly that there's a lot of guys that are extremely talented, and you learn to keep that even keel.
My name's Connor, from Atlanta, freshman in Carroll School of Management. Was wondering what you were thinking with the number 6 pick in this year's draft. If we're going like Greg Robinson or Jadeveon Clowney.
I didn't hear the last part. I'm sorry.
For the number 6 picks this year, if we were thinking like Greg Robinson offensive line or like Jadeveon Clowney D end or linebacker, what you would want.
All right, everybody needs to put their cell phones away and turn the cameras off.
Tell Dimitrov.
Yeah. You know what? It'll be interesting to see what we do at that 6th pick. It's a great question. Obviously, our game plan thus far in the offseason with free agency has been to address the offensive and defensive line. So, I imagine as we move forward in the draft that we'll kind of continue in that direction. And sounds like I just gave a post-game interview.
You did. You
that's the best I can do.
You wimped out.
Yeah. I don't know.
Hi, I'm Chris McAvin. I'm a sophomore in CSOM. For both of you, as leaders on a team, have you ever had a negative experience with a teammate who's sort of, dragging the team down? And if so, how'd you deal with that?
Okay, I'll start. Yes. I mean, there's always, within any group, there's always people who are going to send things in a different direction, whatever direction that may be. And our head coach, Mike Smith, talks all the time about you got to drive your bus, and your bus is heading in this direction. You got to get everybody else to hop on your bus. He made us read this book, The Energy Bus by John Gordon, which is a short read, and it's got good messages in it. But that's his big thing, get everybody on the bus. And if you've got people who are on the bus that are trying to steer it in the wrong direction, you got to get them off the bus. And that's one of the things that is the harsh reality of the NFL is, if you've got bad guys in the locker room, they're gone. So from that standpoint, you don't have to deal with it quite as much. But I think the biggest thing is, you have to find what motivates people. And that's been one of the things for me these last couple of years as I've developed into a leader in our locker room in the NFL, is finding what's at the core, what is your teammates' why. Why are they motivated? Why are they doing what they're doing? I think that's probably been the biggest thing for me, is trying to figure out what's driving that person and then trying to figure out the right response to deal with that. And it's hard. Leadership's hard, specifically when you have people pulling things in the wrong direction. But
Yeah, and I'd agree with Matt. I think on every team you're going to have ups and downs and people going through highs and lows specifically. And to kind of piggyback off Matt's point, I think showing that you care about that whoever is going through the high and low, and sometimes it could be you too needing to get picked up, but being a leader, and if it's putting more individual time with that person or finding them off the court or the field to try and pick at what's going on or give them extra motivation, and then hopefully in turn, if you ever find yourself to be the one that's not giving it your all or needs a kick in the butt, then hopefully one of your teammates does that to you too. So I think it's nice to have that kind of process, and like Matt said, the trust within your teammates. We always talked about holding each other accountable, and it can't always be the coach or your boss holding each other accountable. Teammates have to, and that starts with the leadership.
I'm Will. I'm a junior in the Carroll School, and I was just going to ask you guys, this one's for both of you. Going into transitions, whether it be from college to the pros or college to the workplace, what has been your most difficult transition, whether it be a upper management transition that you had to face or coming out of school, something like that?
I just think leaving this like wonderful bubble of college is a hard transition, and getting thrust into the real world and not really knowing what to expect and kind of learning on the fly. And as hard as like classes can seem and other activities that you have, and time can get cut short in college too. I think finding yourself at a 9 to 5 after being at Rogi's happy hour on Friday at 5 or 3 is pretty tough. So I think that's probably the hardest transition. But again, BC prepares you so well, and I think it just it becomes your new normal, kind of.
I think probably the most difficult thing for me in my transition was having to work with people from different ages. I had never dealt with that before. So whenever you play youth sports or you're in school, you're with people that are similar ages. And so my first year in Atlanta, I was 23, and on our offensive line, we had a right tackle who was 37 years old with 4 kids, married, and a center who was 33 years old with 5 kids and married. And finding ways to relate to him when I had just left Rogi's happy hour at 3 o'clock, and finding ways to connect was difficult. And also, earning those guys' respect was a chore. I mean, it was hard work. And I think the hardest thing for me was to feel comfortable in a leadership position at a young age when you had people who had been around for 12 or 15 years within an organization there. And you know, unfortunately, as a quarterback, you have no other choice. The position you play demands leadership. And that was tough to come by and tough to earn. But, you know, I felt like the way that I approached it was, I'm just going to do my job the best I can. Keep my head down and work as hard as I possibly can and showcase to you what I'm all about. And then eventually, I feel like doing that and playing well earns guys respect, and then you're able to voice your opinion. But that was the hardest thing. There's no question about it. The hardest thing for me coming into it, and it took time. I mean, there's no other way of getting around it. It takes years worth of work around those guys to earn that respect.
I'm Andrew. I'm a sophomore. I'm wondering where the nickname Maddie Ice comes from, and is the fact that it sounds like a certain beverage at BC just a coincidence, or is there more to it than that?
It's a good question. Actually, that's the best kept secret at Boston College.
There you go. Where's that girl?
We're going to keep it there. Yeah, Maddie Ice. Everybody, I think, has had it if you're 21 here at Boston College. But, you know, it actually started before college. It started when I was in high school. And probably a little bit had to do with the fact that it sounded like Maddie Ice. But it started in our high school locker room when I was a freshman. And it just kind of stuck. And nobody called me it here in Boston until I had a friend come visit, Mike McGarvey, who Sarah knows well, came to visit, and that's what he called me. And all of my roommates were like, "Oh, what is that?" You know, and he kind of told them why he called me that. And then it kind of stuck up here. And it's crazy. It's been around for like 15 years now.
Poor kid in the Falcons jersey.
Wait, we got to get him.
Shaking for it.
I'm Kevin, and I'm a freshman in CSOM. Coming from Cleveland, I know a lot about losing, and and so I'm really interested in fantasy football, and I want to know if I can rely on you, Julio, or
no doubt.
anyone on my team next year.
Ride 'em.
Yeah, I always say ride him. I would put Julio on your team, Roddy on your team, me on your team, and sit Matt Bryan, our kicker, because we're going to be scoring a lot of touchdowns. So no field goals.
Hey there, I'm John. I'm a freshman in A&S. I was just wondering for both of you if there were any faculty members or members of the staff here at BC that stuck out to you during your time here, and if they're still here.
This might be the same for both. Father Tony Penna is one of my all-time favorite people here at BC. Knew him a lot, mostly from just in Conti, would see him constantly, but then my senior year I was lucky enough to get in a class with him. And I honestly can't even tell you what the class name was, but it was the best because every day if you've met him, he's a great storyteller. He can connect with college kids so well, and I feel like every day you would leave his class with just some little nugget to hang on to. And spring semester senior year is hard to get kids to come to your class, and he had all of us. Matt, were you in it with me?
I was not in it.
Oh, he wasn't in it. But he had everyone at that class. It was by far my favorite.
Yeah, Father Tony was he was awesome. He was our team chaplain during my time here at BC, and when we would have mass before the games, he would have a different homily every week and never repeat it. It was always about something new, something fresh, something current that was going on within our team. So he was awesome. Dean Keeley, who was here earlier tonight, was great to me. I took a summer psychology course with him. Was a lot of fun to be around. Actually helped me through the transition process from CSOM to A&S. Told me not to do it, but and then Nick Nugent. I took Nick Nugent during the introduction to marketing during the summer. And again, like Sarah said, spring semester, senior year is tough to get kids to go to class, and sometimes during the summer, when you're here and you've been here nonstop, it's tough to keep people engaged for 3 hours twice a week. And Nick was unbelievable about it, even though he was a Florida State fan. But a great guy and has left an impression on me. I think Sarah was in the class with me. But yeah, those 3 guys were awesome.
We're going to make one last question. This will be it.
We got to do this one, and then whoever's in the Falcons jersey
right.
down here, we gotta let him ask the
Dirty
question.
bird.
All right, my name's Melissa, and I'm a freshman in nursing. So just like that kid over there, I'm a Jets fan, unfortunately. So we are used to a lot of headaches between like Geno, Sanchez, and Rex. So what's the best piece of advice anyone has given you when you're at your lowest point?
Yeah. Oh man, that's a really good question. It's hard to pick the best. I think there's pieces of advice you get from different people. Certainly tidbits from Sarah. So Sarah does, I got to put it this way. Each week she does like this psych thing before games. And she started doing it in college and would sneak into my room and like have something on my bed like about the game that we were playing that week. And one week it was like, I think it started with like a whatever. But it's little things. It's little things each week, whether it's, on a piece of construction paper with a poem or something, written out. And this year, week to week, we were going through a lot of tough times professionally. And just the notes that Sarah left became less about, a little rhyme about the game, but more about life and finding different quotes and things to help me stay positive. And just, it's not one thing in general, but it's different things like that along the way just to cheer you up a little bit on a Friday. Those kind of things help me get through the lowest points at this season.
Sarah, Matt, I'm obviously a big fan,
Love
as you can
you.
tell.
Love you.
I'm David Cartier, sophomore in A&S. I'm from Maine. And my question to you is, thinking back on your high school years, when applying to BC, what made you come here besides all the athletics?
Yeah, like you said, athletics obviously played a big part. The girls on the team, I immediately connected with them on my visit here. The coaching staff obviously played a big role in my decision. I think the school itself really sells itself. Awesome campus, great location for me being from Maine. I like that it was a 2-hour drive, good enough distance, but my family and parents could come see me play, so that was huge. And of course, it goes without saying, just the education you're gonna walk out of here with. I felt like BC had everything that I was looking for and more, and kind of made it a no-brainer decision for me.
Mine's much of the same. I think this campus speaks for itself. And you don't know, it's beautiful. The first time I saw it was during the summer, so I came up in July. Maybe it might have been different if I came in March, but it's how it goes. But I came up actually in June. The first time I saw it, I came up in June with my dad for a football camp here, and just fell in love with it. It was perfect days, beautiful setting on campus. Then when it came to the football aspect of it, I loved the coaching staff, got to meet some of the players, liked the players, felt like there was an opportunity to play, which was important to me. And also, I would have never gotten in here had I not played football. And I feel like it was such an unbelievable opportunity for me because of one thing that I did to have another window open for me. And had football not worked out, we would have been fine. We would have done something different, and I'm convinced we would have been successful with whatever we did because we were here. And that kind of played into it for me when making the decision. I was between some other schools, but felt like this place offered it in both ways. If I can do it on the football field, I can go to the NFL. And if I can't do it there, then I can do whatever I want to do because I'm going to have a degree from Boston College. And I think, if that doesn't make sense to you at 18, you're out of your mind, because it was an unbelievable opportunity. So that was kind of it. That was the reason that we ended up here, and we're so lucky that we both did, and our paths crossed.
Sarah and Matt, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It was really good meeting you guys.